Y'all have lost y'all damn minds. You got to be crazy when you talk pressure with LeBron. Just the pressure. Just stop it, okay? Because people were turned off by the excessive physicality that folks were witnessing. This is the era that Michael Jordan had to go through. It was tough everywhere you turned, and the game was physical. LeBron comes in. By the time LeBron comes in, you could sit up there and get a technical foul for passing gas.
There comes a time when the truth demands to be spoken louder than ever. When barbershop debates spiral out of control and social media erupts with comparisons, only one voice cuts through the noise with unapologetic clarity: Stephen A. Smith. And this time, he is not holding back. The disrespect has gone too far. The narrative is being twisted. The myths are getting louder than the facts. So here is the reality. Michael Jordan faced a tougher NBA than LeBron James ever has. This is not an opinion. This is not a debate. This is a breakdown of basketball truth as laid out by the most passionate voice in sports media. If you are tired of revisionist history, if you want to set the record straight, and if you want to witness greatness defined not just by numbers, but by trials and tribulations, then buckle up. Hit that like button, subscribe to NBA Showdown, and drop a comment if you're ready to see why Michael Jordan will always be tougher than LeBron James and the entire NBA today. Stephen A. Smith did not just criticize the modern narrative, he eviscerated it. The idea that LeBron James has endured unprecedented pressure is, in his words, complete madness. According to Stephen A., people have truly lost their minds by placing LeBron's experience on a pedestal of pressure, as if he is the only one who has ever faced it. He cuts through this delusion like a blade, halting the conversation before it even begins. What he is really saying is that pressure in this era is nothing compared to what Michael Jordan had to endure. There were no social media lifelines back then. There was no branding empire cushioning Jordan's legacy in real time. What he had were critics, haters, physical enforcers, and relentless expectations from an unforgiving league that did not care who you were. LeBron may have had cameras in his face since high school, but that is not the same as surviving the venom of Detroit, the brutality of Boston, and the grind of an Eastern Conference that tried to take Jordan's head off every single night. So when Stephen A. tells fans to stop it, he is drawing a line. Enough with the softness, enough with the exaggerations. The pressure LeBron experiences is not even in the same realm as what Jordan faced in his era. The difference is not just time, the difference is toughness. Stephen A. Smith knows how to deliver balance, but he never loses focus. Here, he gives LeBron his due. LeBron was hyped beyond belief. He was dubbed the chosen one as a teenager, and that burden was heavy.
Y'all have lost y'all damn minds. You got to be crazy when you talk pressure with LeBron. Just the pressure. Just stop it, okay?
Stephen A. acknowledges that pressure and admits that LeBron has lived up to those expectations. But here's where it gets real. Just living up to the hype is not the same as surpassing it. Michael Jordan was not handed that title. He earned it in blood, sweat, and the kind of punishment that would have broken a lesser man. LeBron stepped into a league that was transitioning into finesse, spacing, and entertainment value. Jordan stepped into a battlefield. The NBA did not adjust to him. He adjusted to the NBA and made it his kingdom. LeBron was protected in many ways, both on and off the court. Jordan was targeted. He was hunted. He had to slay legends just to be taken seriously. So while Stephen A. respectfully credits LeBron for handling his unique type of pressure, he also draws a subtle contrast. Jordan did not need to be chosen. He became the standard that everyone else would be judged by, including LeBron himself. That is the true mark of greatness.
What about the pressure that was inflicted because you said that you were the chosen one? Now, in fairness to LeBron James, he has more than lived up to it.
Stephen A. Smith does not deal in blind hatred. He knows respect when it is earned, and here he doubles down on that respect. LeBron James has lived up to the expectations set for him and, in many ways, has exceeded them. Stephen A. is not trying to diminish the King's accomplishments. He is giving him his flowers while still preserving the sacred legacy of Michael Jordan. This is a crucial distinction. Acknowledging LeBron's greatness does not require forgetting the inferno that Jordan walked through. LeBron deserves his props, but props do not equal supremacy. This quote highlights the fine line between recognition and exaggeration. Stephen A. is telling us that LeBron's story is legendary, but Jordan's was biblical. LeBron's rise was curated, celebrated, and televised in high definition. Jordan's was brutal, raw, and forged through resistance. Giving LeBron credit is not the same as rewriting the rules of toughness, and that is what Stephen A. is pushing back against. Jordan's greatness was born in a crucible. He did not just live up to expectations, he created them. He made the NBA bow before him. That is why giving LeBron props is acceptable, but comparing him to Jordan as if the roads were equal is flat out unacceptable.
You look like you're a big boy, you look like a passing on, but you're still a young pup. You might not know.
Stephen A. Smith does not mince words when he reflects on the state of the NBA during the time Michael Jordan entered the league. He paints a picture of an association riddled with chaos, instability, and a level of competition that was unforgiving. In 1984, when Jordan was drafted as the number 3 overall pick, he walked into a league that had not yet been cleaned up or protected by modern media narratives or softened by rule changes. The league had a lot of nonsense going on, as Stephen A. bluntly puts it, and that matters. It matters because Jordan didn't just rise through a sanitized, perfectly paved league. He rose despite the mess. He entered the NBA not as the chosen savior, not as a protected prodigy, but as a man dropped in the middle of a storm and told to make something of himself. No one coddled him. No one handed him an easy path. No media campaigns were crafted to shield him from criticism. He was a third pick, not even the top choice, and yet he fought his way to the top through pure willpower and domination. That is a level of toughness LeBron James never had to confront. LeBron walked into a league already in the process of being cleaned up, with the media at his side, the hype machine behind him, and the rules already shifting to favor offensive brilliance. Jordan came into a league where none of that existed. The era was raw, unfiltered, and merciless. Stephen A. is reminding us that this is the climate in which Jordan thrived. To elevate yourself in a league full of nonsense and carve out greatness is not just a testament to talent, but a showcase of iron-willed toughness. And that is exactly why Jordan's ascent carries a weight LeBron's will never match. This isn't just about who scored more or lasted longer. It's about who endured more, who stood taller against chaos, and who made order out of the mess. That man was Michael Jordan.
Over the NBA, got a lot of nonsense going on in the National Basketball Association. Jordan comes in '84. He was the number 3 pick.
Stephen A. Smith throws the spotlight on what Michael Jordan did the moment he arrived in the NBA. It wasn't a slow burn. It wasn't a gradual climb. It was an immediate eruption. Jordan came into the league and instantly set the league on fire. That kind of impact, that instant blaze, is the mark of a player who didn't need time, didn't need grooming, and didn't need excuses. He lit it up from the start. This matters in the context of toughness because it shows that Jordan didn't need favorable conditions to be great. He didn't rely on being developed or protected or marketed into a superstar. He showed up and forced the league to take notice. He came with such force, such unrelenting competitive energy that his presence alone shifted the atmosphere. While LeBron's rise was anticipated and orchestrated through years of media coverage and marketing, Jordan's was earned in real time against real grown men who weren't afraid to test his mettle every single night. Setting the league on fire wasn't just about scoring points. It was about challenging the old guard, grabbing the spotlight from legends like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, and refusing to wait his turn. That's a form of mental toughness that separates legends from mere stars. Jordan didn't enter politely. He didn't ask for permission. He disrupted the establishment and did it in a league that wasn't looking for a new face, wasn't ready for change, and sure as hell wasn't going to hand it to, and yet he took it. That's the ultimate expression of toughness. Stephen A. is underlining this moment not to glorify Jordan, but to remind people that true greatness doesn't wait for a stage. It builds one with blood, sweat, and defiance. That is who Michael Jordan was from day one.
Jordan comes into the league and instantly sets the league on fire, letting everybody know it's a new era.
Stephen A. Smith draws a vivid contrast between eras when he speaks of the time Michael Jordan stepped into the NBA. It was the era of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, two polar opposites who defined the league. Magic brought the flash, the glitz, and the Hollywood flair of Showtime, while Bird represented blue-collar grit, fundamental excellence, and mental steel. These two giants were not just players, they were brands, they were movements. And then came Jordan. And what did he do? He didn't just join the party, he hijacked it. He individualized the sport, as Stephen A. passionately emphasizes. Jordan's greatness was so overwhelming, so blinding, that it reshaped the league itself. In a time when the NBA was defined by rivalries and team-centric narratives, Jordan turned the focus inward. He became the sun in the basketball universe, drawing all light and attention toward himself. This is important because it shows the weight Jordan carried in a league dominated by already established icons. To walk into an era already defined by two living legends and still make it your own requires a toughness that cannot be taught. It requires supreme confidence, unshakable self-belief, and a refusal to be boxed in by the greatness that came before you. Jordan individualized the game not through branding or social media, but by sheer dominance. The league had no choice but to bend toward his brilliance. While LeBron's ascent happened in a vacuum designed to spotlight him from the start, Jordan had to eclipse Magic and Bird in real time, in their prime, without the help of narrative engineering. And he did it through excellence, pain, and constant reinvention. That is why when Stephen A. says Jordan individualized the sport, he is really saying Jordan conquered an empire that wasn't built for him. He broke through walls that LeBron never had to face. That's what toughness looks like in its most brilliant, disruptive form.
Magic and Bird are the faces of the National Basketball Association. It's Showtime against blue-collar stuff. MJ comes along and essentially individualizes the sport because its individual greatness shines so brightly.
Stephen A. Smith's quote here cuts deep into the core difference between the NBA Jordan faced and the one LeBron has dominated. He was not just referencing random hard fouls or a few bruising contests. He was describing a league where physicality was a ritual, where trying to break the will of a superstar was a nightly ambition. Opponents didn't just want to beat Michael Michael Jordan on the scoreboard. They wanted to physically and mentally break him. The Detroit Pistons built an entire strategy around this with the infamous Jordan rules. Their mission was not to slow him down, but to punish him. Jordan didn't just endure this, he triumphed through it. Imagine a league today where what was standard back then, clotheslines, elbow checks, hip tosses, would not just be technical fouls but could lead to suspensions or bans. That is the level of combat Jordan had to survive. LeBron, on the other hand, entered a league with far stricter enforcement of physical play, where touch fouls are common and hard contact is often treated as hostile. No, this isn't a knock on LeBron's talent. It's a reality check on the conditions. Jordan didn't have the privilege of spacing, player protection rules, or flagrant foul reviews. Every time he drove into the lane, it was a war zone. What Stephen A. Smith is saying is that Michael Jordan didn't just play basketball, he survived it. Every night he was targeted and battered, and he still averaged over 30 points a game and brought 6 titles to Chicago. In today's league, where the smallest contact is often scrutinized, the idea of subjecting a superstar to that level of nightly physical assault seems impossible. And that is why Jordan's toughness cannot be matched. He wasn't just the most skilled, he was the most resilient. He had to be. The league forced him to be.
There was a level of physicality, the kind of stuff that'll get you banned from the league right now. They tried to do to Michael Jordan on a night-to-night.
Stephen A. doubles down in this quote, pointing out that the road to greatness was packed with landmines for Michael Jordan. The level of physicality was one aspect, but the structural challenges were just as daunting. Back then, rules allowed defenders to hand check, body up, and make every possession a war of attrition. There was no freedom of movement. You had to earn every step, every shot, every cut. It was a survivalist's journey. And on top of that, Jordan had to face teams that had real, gritty defensive identity. The Knicks, the Pistons, the Heat, the Celtics, even the Pacers. Every playoff series felt like a trip to hell and back. Every one of those teams had the personnel and the rules to make Jordan fight for everything. The league didn't cater to offensive explosion. The game was not designed to inflate numbers. It was designed to punish you if you were great, to make sure you could handle the weight of superstardom. Jordan didn't just handle it. He carried it better than anyone ever has. LeBron's path to the finals, in contrast, especially during his Eastern Conference years, was paved through teams that lacked either the star power or the defensive capability to stop him, and the rules were on his side. Zone defense, no hand checking, defensive 3-second violations, all catered to protecting offensive players. Jordan never had that. His nemesis weren't weak hurdles, they were mountains, and Jordan climbed every single one. Stephen A. is making it clear that the NBA used to be an unforgiving gauntlet. Jordan conquered it. That makes him the embodiment of basketball toughness, a title that LeBron or anyone else can never truly claim.
The game was considerably more physical. The road to prosperity was far more difficult. There were nemesis all over the place because of the rules.
In this quote, Stephen A. Smith paints a brutally honest picture of the climate Jordan played in. The league was so violent, so unrelentingly physical, that it became a turnoff to casual fans. The NBA was in danger of losing its broader appeal. That is how hostile it had become. But right in the middle of that storm stood Michael Jordan. And not only did he navigate it, he elevated the game out of it. He didn't complain. He didn't beg for rule changes. He became the greatest in spite of the brutality. The NBA was still finding its identity when Jordan arrived. The league was raw, rugged, almost barbaric in its style of play. It was not the well-polished entertainment product it is today. There was blood, there were fights, there were fouls that would make headlines today. And yet Jordan turned that environment into a global stage. He didn't ask the league to soften. He forced it to shine even under its harshest light. LeBron entered an NBA that had already benefited from the refinement Jordan's era forced. The game was cleaned up, fan-friendly, globalized. Players were marketed, not mangled. But Jordan played through an era that almost scared fans away and somehow made them fall in love with the sport. That is the mark of an icon, not just for his skill, but for his toughness and tenacity. Stephen A. is not exaggerating here. He is reminding everyone that Jordan made the NBA glamorous while wading through its ugliest years. And he didn't just survive it, he defined it. LeBron has been great in the age of brand management and highlight reels, but Jordan made the game beautiful when it was still brutal. And that's what makes his journey unmatched. That's what makes him tougher than anyone else.
Because people were turned off by the excessive physicality that folks were witnessing. This is the era that Michael Jordan had to go through.
When Stephen A. Smith reminded the world not to forget about the Cleveland Cavaliers and how Michael Jordan put them to sleep, it was far more than a clever jab. It was a direct reference to Jordan's dominance during an era where no team was safe from his wrath. The Cavaliers were no pushover in the late 80s and early 90s. They had strong rosters filled with defensive grit and offensive power. Brad Daugherty, Mark Price, Larry Nance, these were not soft players. These were skilled, smart, and physical competitors who could have been conference champions if not for one glaring obstacle. That obstacle obstacle was Michael Jordan. Jordan didn't just beat Cleveland, he humiliated them. He became their personal nightmare, delivering one of the most iconic moments in NBA history with a shot in 1989. Craig Ello will forever be remembered as the defender who couldn't stop the unstoppable. But more than that, this quote sheds light on how Jordan didn't just survive a tougher NBA, he destroyed it. He buried strong teams that would have thrived in any other era. Unlike today, where the top teams stack superstars to break through, Jordan had no such luxury. He had to face off against multiple stacked and deeply physical teams and still come out on top. He didn't wait for help. He didn't switch teams to find easier paths. He built his dynasty by crushing others, and Cleveland was one of many casualties. Stephen A's point is that when people try to discount Jordan's path by citing LeBron's longevity or stats, they're missing the brutal grind Jordan went through. Putting Cleveland to sleep wasn't just about a buzzer beater. It was about the psychological warfare Jordan brought every night, which most teams and players simply could not withstand. LeBron has had great playoff moments, but did he ever dominate rival franchises to the point they were historically defined by their failures against him? The answer is no. That's a unique tier of greatness that only Jordan reached. The Cavaliers tried to compete. Jordan made sure they never forgot who ruled the East.
By the way, let me not forget the Cleveland Cavaliers. We try to sleep because Michael Jordan put them to sleep. But remember Mark Price and Brad Daugherty and all of these other, Larry Nance and all of these boys. These brothers could play. I'm just telling you, it was tough everywhere you turned, and the game was physical. LeBron comes in. By the time LeBron comes in, you could sit up there and get a technical foul for passing gas.
Stephen A. Smith's scathing sarcasm about getting a technical foul for passing gas in LeBron's era is not just humorous, it is damning. It highlights how drastically the NBA's physical rules have changed, softening the very fabric of competition that once defined the league. When he says it was tough everywhere you turned, he paints a battlefield, not a basketball court. That was the NBA Jordan grew up in. Every possession came with bruises. Every lane drive was a war zone. There were no clear paths, only earned buckets through elbow smashes and body checks. That level of physicality bred resilience. It forged men out of players and legends out of warriors. By the time LeBron entered the NBA, rule changes had completely altered the game's nature. Hand checking was gone. Flagged contact replaced aggressive defense. Players could not body up like they used to, and referees often protected offensive stars with whistles ready. The league started focusing on offense, entertainment, and longevity. This created a safer, flashier environment, but also one that eliminated the grind Jordan had to overcome. Stephen A. is not attacking LeBron's skill or achievements. He is calling out the context. The modern NBA lets superstars thrive in space, shoot without fear, and drive without the threat of real pain. Jordan thrived without any of those luxuries. That contrast matters. It's like comparing a soldier from peacetime with one from the trenches of war. Both are soldiers, but only one has proven his courage through the fire. LeBron's era may have high skill and offensive creativity, but it does not carry the emotional and physical weight that Jordan's did. Being tough in a soft era is not the same as being dominant in a league filled with danger. Jordan was hardened by that danger and still rose above it. Stephen A. Smith's clarification is critical. He makes it clear he is not saying the league LeBron played in was soft. He's saying it was softer than the 80s and 90s. That distinction is everything. It sets the tone for this entire comparison between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Smith is saying LeBron's path was not easy, but Jordan's was significantly harder. Jordan's NBA was a savage league, unapologetically brutal. The physical pain was real, the psychological warfare relentless. There were no friends in competition. It was survival every night. Players in that era did not flop for calls. They bled for buckets. And if you didn't match the energy, you were forgotten. Stephen A. is not diminishing LeBron's accomplishments. He's providing crucial perspective. Jordan didn't just compete in a tougher NBA. He reigned over it. He stood tallest when the league was at its harshest. That is not just a feat of skill. That is a statement of toughness, grit, and superiority. It is one thing to be great when the game allows you to be. It is another thing to impose your will on a game that fights you every step of the way. LeBron had the benefit of science, technology, and an era designed to extend careers and protect stars. Jordan had none of that. His career was built on raw will, internal fire, and the ability to absorb punishment while dominating the very best. Stephen A's final quote reminds everyone, there's greatness, and then there's greatness against all odds. Jordan's greatness came during a time when being great required more than talent. It demanded suffering, sacrifice, and unrelenting toughness. That's what separates him.
I am not saying that the league was soft. I'm saying that the league was softer than what you had to endure in the 80s into the 90s.
When you stack the facts side by side, the truth becomes undeniable. Michael Jordan did not just play basketball. He conquered a battlefield every single night. He walked into a league filled with killers, took every hit, every insult, every foul, and turned it into fuel. He faced enemies at every corner, endured rules that allowed violence, and still rose above them all to become the most feared and respected man in the sport. LeBron James may be great. He may have lived up to the expectations, but the path was smoother, the game was cleaner, and the punishment was no nowhere near what Jordan survived. Stephen A. Smith isn't just offering hot takes, he's offering history, and the history is clear. Jordan faced a tougher NBA than LeBron ever has. The bruises were real, the rivalries were vicious, and the legend that emerged from it all wasn't just the best scorer or the flashiest player. He was the toughest, the hardest, the most relentless. Jordan's greatness is not measured in numbers alone. It is written in scars, in shattered defenses, and in silenced arenas across the country. He built an empire not because the game allowed him to, but because he took it. And no matter how high LeBron rises, the crown will always rest where it was forged, in the fire of the toughest era in NBA history. Jordan is not just the GOAT because of what he achieved. He is the GOAT because of what he endured to achieve